Right, so welcome back. Episode 51 of the Freedom Hustles podcast. It's been a while. We've had a bit of a time off.
Hmm.
Um, Myself, John Banks, and Andy Lehman from the
Hello.
Freedom Skills Academy.com. So we're really pleased to be back. We're really pleased to be starting this off again. And what a better way to start off. You may have remembered from the previous episodes, Andy was talking about relocating over into Portugal, and now pleased to say that, well, not pleased. I'm not pleased he's gone, but he is. So and yeah. So Andy, how you doing? So we're
Uh,
podcasting now. You're
Um,
all the way over in Portugal.
I'm not too bad, but considering I've just found out you couldn't wait to get rid of me. No, it's great. Yeah. So before we were podcasting, say 200 miles apart. Now I don't know how far I am.
Whatever it is. Yeah.
I'm basically I'm situated outside Coimbra, which is a fantastic part of Portugal, beautiful countryside, and I'm really loving it. I mean, I don't know if it's going to be a long term sort of stay here, but we've been here for over a year now and just really enjoying it. And I'm able to do that because of obviously what I'm doing online, working as a writer and doing all that kind of stuff. It's just given me the freedom to be able to move around. I'm actually working as a freelance remote digital nomad basically. So
Mm.
we have talked about possibly having a bit of an adventure in Ireland, and if we do, I can take that with me because of what I do. So it's all fantastic. So how are you doing anyway?
Yeah, I'm fine. Yep, absolutely brilliant. So that's amazing. And as we've talked about loads of times on the podcast and over on the blog and on various social media channels, the beauty of having that kind of freedom skill, which is what the whole thing's kind of about. Me myself, I've been tied up with loads of website work, client work, and so on and so forth, which again is the same kind of thing. It's all, if once you've got if you've got that internet connection, and you can literally do the work from anywhere. So we're slightly different. We are going to be talking about, it is very, very in line with, what we talk about on the website and everything like that. But it's a bit different. And what we're going to be talking about tonight is subscription, the subscription model business, isn't it? So that's
Yeah.
more.
Yeah, I mean, this is something. I mean, we do have our own subscription newsletter. We have the VIP club, for anybody's interested. But for me, at the moment, the world is changing, and I think in 2024, a personal subscription business is going to be huge for lots of people. I think it's a way forward. It's going to be probably one of the probably the number one online business for a lot of people. And so basically where I'm going to start by saying you've probably heard of OnlyFans, and you've the freedom that that kind of platform has given certain people in the adult industry to be able to do stuff for themselves using their mobile phone or webcam from home, and it's a platform that they can utilize. This is now being rolled out across numerous platforms, including Twitter and Instagram. So now if you pay, I think it's about 20 quid. I don't know what it is in dollars per month for Twitter, and I don't know what it is for Instagram. But there's Instagram. Is it like a premium? But if you pay for that, you also get the opportunity of being able to release content that is exclusive for paying followers. I saw one. It was a artist from Brazil, a street artist. He just painted a bus and everything, and I was watching it. It was all very, very cool. And then I saw something pop up in the corner saying basically subscribe. So I clicked on it, and it was like £3 per month to access exclusive content. And I just sort of sat there and I thought, we've been watching this for a while. Obviously, I've done newsletters, membership areas before for certain people. We've got our own. We've watched it grow. We've talked before about Patreon. We've talked about other platforms, but they're now exploding, and everybody's now got the opportunity to start creating digital content and make money from home, from wherever where they are in the world. So it's just such an incredible, freeing online business that I think is going to explode in the next few years, especially this year.
Yeah, I agree. I think, I mean, yeah, taking it sort of one step back, you know, I remember the days of, like you said, you know, optimized press for WordPress, and I think the other one was S2 member, and you know, these are quite sort of
Yeah.
complex tools that you sort of had to learn how to use. That could take weeks and months to sort of learn how to use them. Then you'd need to learn the sort of code in order to, you know, install them on the website, and they were sold as these sort of easy to use plug. I'm sure they were for some people, but not for everyone. You know, a lot of people found them quite complex and they were a bit tricky to set up. Whereas
Mm,
now, you know, like you've just said, then you've got a whole stack of websites. You know, I mean, I don't know them all, but
mm.
just off the top of my head, you know, you mentioned you've got Substack, you've got Patreon, you know, there's, you know, Payhip, there's Gumroad, all of them.
Yep.
That takes all the pain away. All you literally have to do
Yep.
is create the content, and like you say, you create the content, you list it on there, you know, you build up a bit of a following, and then once you get to a certain level, you're well within your right to start charging, you know, a monthly fee, a small monthly fee, or you know, and in some
That's
cases,
it.
you were telling me about, is it Patreon? I think even Substack, you can make levels, can't you, of like subscription?
Yep. I think PayHip and Patreon allow you to do multiple levels. Substack is basic. I think it's like three. It's more of a case of that's your subscription period. So it's either monthly, yearly, or something else like
Yeah.
Ultimate Fan something. But with Patreon and PayHip places like that, you can, and even the new one, Ream Stories. That's a new one. Ream Stories is less than a year old, which is now being developed specifically for authors and wannabe authors who want to build a subscription business around their books. Because as we know, the world is changing and people are paying subscriptions for most things, which we'll get onto shortly. But places like Patreon, PayHip, and Ream Stories allow you to choose specific tiers. So, for example, you could do like a $10 a month where you just publish two short stories per week. $20 a month, you probably publish four short stories a week.
Mm.
$50 a month, you'll probably do your short. All they'll get access to all the short stories, and then there'll probably be like a live Q&A video chat and other
Yeah,
things.
yeah,
So
yeah.
as the more you charge, the sort of more you give. There's excuse me, Seanan Maguire is a best-selling author, fiction author who has a Patreon account. She's had it for a few years now, and the last I looked, she was making somewhere between $10,000 and $12,000 a month. It said per short story, so I don't know if that means she publishes two short stories a month. She gets like
Mm.
20 or 24 grand, or if it's just monthly. I did once subscribe to it. It was a $1 tier, but she's got so many tiers. I think one goes up to like $1,000. I'm not saying it's per month, but it could be
Blimey.
like a bulk one.
Yeah.
But she tends to publish short stories and then sends out things through the post, so it's a bit more physical.
Mm.
But yeah, the as you said earlier, when I first started, I remember a software called MemberGate, which was the
Mm.
company would you had to pay them to stick it on a hosting for you. And they were looking at like, so I think if I remember right, it was several $1,000s at that time, and things have started to drift down. But when we
Yeah.
first got started going, you either had to do it yourself, which was a lot of learning, a lot of head scratching, a lot of having to connect PayPal with APIs and all that stuff,
Mm.
or you paid someone to do it for you, which was expensive. Now you just basically go to Patreon, PayHip, OnlyFans, Ream Stories, Substack, Sparkloop, open up a profile, connect your Stripe account or your PayPal account through the email, and then start publishing and start trying to find subscribers.
Yeah. That's it, isn't it? Like you say, it's sort of opened up a whole new world, you know, for people. Even like the sort of, I mean, we've been kind of getting involved in sort of minimalist, haven't we, at the moment? Like, you know,
Yep.
small snippet content, you know, because everyone seems to be this sort of fast-paced consumer world. I don't know if it's something to do with people's attention spans or whatever, but there
Could
seems
be.
to be a bit of a drive now for kind of like short bursts of content. I mean, if you think
Yep.
back, probably before we stopped, you know, things like TikTok, they were all very new, and that now seems to be the norm, doesn't it? Under 1 minute videos, short
Yeah.
videos, rather than these big, long, hour-long tutorials. People like things in small snippets and small doses. Um, and even that can be done, can't it? As a you know, like a subscription model, because it's exactly what you said about, you know, like these authors and that now, they're sort of like they could well be, sort of like, rather than releasing an entire book, they could be releasing little snippets or chapters or
That's
short,
what they do.
and then
Pre-release
like you say,
chapters.
that for that people will pay a couple of dollars. It might only be a small amount, but like you say,
Yeah.
if they got a couple of thousand people on there that are eagerly waiting for that next piece of the story, then it's a brilliant model, isn't it?
It is. I mean, there was Substack is another one, and I remember reading about a journalist who she'd lost a job just before the pandemic, and so she started writing a newsletter on Substack, which was basically to do with food. I don't know if she's particularly a vegan, but there was lots of vegetarian food. There was food, and there was her thoughts as well on the opinions of life and whatever, and all that kind of stuff. And while she was publishing a post on Substack, because Substack allows you to do like I think they all basically allow you to create free content, and then you can lock some away behind a paid wall. And story goes that she accidentally clicked on the lock behind your paid wall sort of button. So the post that she published was locked, and I think she had something like several thousand followers who were reading her free newsletter. And as they got the notification saying that she'd published this new content, and it was locked behind a paywall and she was charging $10 a month. Apparently, she ended up with like 400 people signing up to read the article and to carry on. So she'd gone from basically being unemployed, not earning a thing, to suddenly making over $2,000 a month or $4,000 a month, whatever it was,
Yeah.
accidentally, because she had this following who are interested. And the following is, I say, like the 200 to 400 people who subscribed is a lot less than the people who are on the free thing. But she built up this following, and they were just interested to read more, so they were happy to pay.
Mm.
So
Uh, exactly
yeah,
that. I mean, I'm on the website now, Substack, and yeah, there's a brilliant little paragraph at the bottom which sort of sums it all up really. It says basically a better model for writing. I mean, the advertising model, currently demands that writers attract 40,000 page views every day just to earn $1,000 a month. Whereas with Substack, a steady base of 1,000 subscribers paying $5 a month will earn you £60,000 a year, $60,000 a year. So I mean, yeah, like you say, you don't
but
need.
there's several people on there who are making $1 million a year. Noah
Yeah,
Smith is one of them, the economist. I talked about him earlier. There's another guy, I can't remember his name now. He's a tech geek, and he's supposed to be making over $1 million
yeah,
because of people are paying. And that's the beautiful thing about this, because you and I both in the industry, we've seen people who are charging like thousands of dollars. I originally started working for a guy who was charging like 12 grand to do seminars and workshops,
mm,
lots of money. These are people who are charging $5 or $10 a month, which
yeah,
is pennies, really, isn't it? I mean,
mm.
$10 in the UK is £8, which isn't a huge amount, but I mean that's like three coffees from Starbucks,
Well,
three or four coffees
yeah,
from Starbucks.
probably not even that now. Probably two. Yeah,
And so if you're delivering decent content, people are willing to pay that, and the fact that it's so cheap and accessible on your phone and desktop and whatever, and you know, you get yourself 1,000 paying subscribers paying you, like you say, £5, $5.
mm,
It's
yeah,
it's not. I'm not going to say it's easy money, but it's good money. And the thing is,
yeah.
it's there. You've got to remember is that I believe there's like 5.4 billion users using the internet daily. Do you
Mm,
know what I mean? And you've got access from, unless you're living in a country like North
yeah,
Korea or Iran, or China, where you're not really allowed to look at certain websites. Most people can access these websites, and most countries have a PayPal or a Stripe, which you can pay for. So you can pay to see somebody's artwork or somebody's stories or somebody's information that have been publishing in other parts of the world, and you can access that and you can pay small amounts for it. The pool of people is huge.
yeah. And you know, like we sort of said, that it seems to be it seems to be going that way now. I mean, people, like you say, if you touch on the kind of the small amounts, the $5, let's say, if you kept everything $5 and under, right? Even in times of crisis, right? Even in times of hardship, right?
Yeah.
Which is what we're led to believe if you put the media on, and it is true. It is true. they're going through these, cost of living crises, and mortgage rates are going up, cost of food and everything. But people still pay, I guarantee it, for Netflix. They still pay for Sky TV. They still pay for Amazon Prime. They're still paying for, I bet you the average has still got something like four, maybe five subscriptions on their bank account every single month that they
Yeah.
do not absolutely need, right? So therefore, in your case, if you're providing solid and it's going to be two things, isn't it? It's either going to be entertainment or information. Yeah. So either going to be information which is going to help them do something, change their life, earn more money, lose a bit of weight, eat better, I don't know, learn to draw, learn to write, whatever it is. So it's either going to be information which is going to help them, or it's just going to be entertainment in the form of stories or
Mhm.
humor or, whatever. And then, like you say, if it's priced at something like $5, $4, $3, is that going to be first on the hit list when people have got to try and make cuts to their budget?
Yeah.
And that's exactly it, isn't it?
I know some of the figures. Some people have unsubscribed from Amazon and Netflix when things really started to bite hard. But generally, as you say, the more expensive subscriptions are going to go, like the gyms and stuff like that.
Mm.
Which also brings me back round to quickly health and fitness. Like during COVID, Joe Wicks, he started, as far as I know, he's got a membership health site. He's made millions from his, basically
Yeah.
people paying to watch
Mm.
his exercise videos. But yeah, it's if you keep things at a low price. I mean, I'm not saying that you should undercharge. I mean, there's people who charge $49 or $97 a month. It depends on how life changing the information is and how long. I mean, you've got year-long courses, 6-month courses, or just on continuing memberships which to be fair, if you're just continuing something, then like $5-10 a month is probably about right and accessible. But the thing about today is, as well, is that most people today are conditioned to pay subscriptions because, first of all, I don't know what it's like in other parts of the world, but in the UK, you had direct debit. So you was paying your gas and electric on sort of a subscription, really, unless
Mm.
it went up and down ridiculously. It was usually the same most months. You have your internet and your broadband connection. So you're paying for that, mobile phones, television, online streaming networks, entertainment, health and fitness,
Mm.
food and drink, storage, as we've talked about before, offline and online. I pay for Dropbox and Google. So I'm
Mm.
paying annual subscription for online storage. And
Yeah.
a recent study said that 63% of the British population are subscribing to some form of monthly product or service,
Mm.
which works out around 41.3 million people, and that they had 2.4 active subscriptions, which costing them around £39 a month.
Yeah.
So people are getting trained or used to subscriptions.
And I bet you it's higher than that, really, because I bet you that figure doesn't include the ones that you just said. You know what I mean? The ones that you just said, which we all take for granted, like a mobile phone, internet. I bet you it doesn't include that. I bet that's things like the sort of
Mm.
extra stuff, such as gyms or, newspaper, magazines. I mean, I still get a magazine. I still
That's
get a
yeah,
magazine. All this gaming stuff I've got behind me. I'm a little bit of a mad, middle-age crisis, but I get a magazine from a lot of these companies, and that's a subscription. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, like you
yeah,
say, you just sort of take these things for granted, and it's just a form of entertainment. I don't mind paying the, whatever it is, the
mm.
£4. So,
Yeah.
but
I
yeah,
think I think subscription business, personal subscription business, are the other thing for the future because yeah, we can talk about the Joe Wicks, we can talk about the people like the Noah Smith who's making $1 million, what, because they've got like 10,000 paying subscribers. But the truth is, like you said, especially for today, while things are hard um, financially, you only need 300 people paying you a small amount of money to be making a decent extra income,
mm,
or even covering your bills and your, to be fair, like I say, it can even be changing because if you're quite young and single or young and a couple and you're traveling the world and you've got 300 400 people paying you $5 a month to access specific content about whatever travel or health or whatever it is that they're doing,
yeah.
it gives you a kind of a freedom that no other business can give you.
Okay, so this all sounds really good. And like, I'm sure there's some people listening that are thinking, well, okay, this sounds interesting. How do I go about this? What would your advice be then for someone someone that's new? They know a bit about content creation. They may have a passion or an interest that they want to share. They want to get it out there to the world. Um, where would your kind of what would your kind of advice be when starting out?
It depends on what your content is or what. But I mean, I would look at something like Substack, PayHip, Patreon, and possibly Ream Stories if you're into that, because they're platforms. Because you and I, we can build our own memberships. We can stick
Hmm.
payment buttons through Stripe onto a web page and create recurring stuff. But for newbies, just go to one of these platforms because yes, they take that 10% of the transaction fee, which some people think is expensive. But considering you're not actually renting or paying rates on a property and having to start from, paying out front, you don't pay until you actually you take a payment.
Yeah.
So you can actually start building up your content and publishing for free. I would then say that you would probably best look for which is your best form of social media platform, because that's the other thing. We've got access to all these social media sites now that are free to use.
Hmm.
Do you know what I mean? In the old days, you had to rely on Google and traffic and direct marketing and all this
Hmm.
help from other people and search. Now you've got all this access of Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, whether you still use it, X, whatever it's called, and Facebook. So you choose one of those that you are best with, and start to build a following with that by sharing free content. And the other thing that I forgot to mention, and what I really like about this, is I've got to be careful how I say this because it's not necessarily just creating the one piece of content and that's it, but you're getting paid multiple times for the same one piece of content each month. Now, there's a newsletter that I like, which is by a woman in Ireland, and it's called Cheap Irish Houses. I don't know how many people she has subscribing, how much she earns, but she just creates each week a list of houses in Ireland that she's found. She's a property person, and she's basically it's like 12 properties, all under 100,000.
Hmm.
So let's say it takes her 2 hours to print that newsletter, to make that newsletter and stick it on the website. She creates it once, and then she'll probably have 500 people paying her to read it.
Yep.
So you
Perfect.
create the content once, but obviously you do it each week.
Hmm.
But that's the great thing about subscription business is you create the content once, you get paid by multiple people. So yeah,
And the fact that it's digital, so there's no printing costs, there's no overheads, everything like that. It's literally just
absolutely.
digital, sent to the email, sent to the website, whatever it is, and that's it. Job done.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's brilliant. I mean, I think we're kind of wrap it up there. We've kind of
Yep.
that's sort of like a, sort of a welcome back podcast. But no, really good one, and certainly a lot for people there to take away. Even if you just go and check out some of the websites that Andy and myself mentioned. Um, Probably for me, like you said, maybe lean towards something like Substack to begin with, PayHip. You're ready to go. Like you say, it's all set up. You literally just get your product, upload it, or in Substack's case, you just write, don't you? I mean, you just write content and then you can build your subscription model around that.
If you have a Facebook account and you can use Facebook, then basically you can use Substack, PayHip,
Yeah.
Patreon.
Yeah.
They're not too dissimilar.
Mm. Okay, well, that's brilliant. So hopefully now we're back to a sort of a schedule. Um,
Yep.
these will go out to all the, you know, we'll share them around to the usual areas. Spotify, YouTube, and Spotify tend to share them around as well. So we'll try and keep on top of that. So I just want to say thanks very much for listening and welcome back. John Banks and Andy Lehman, both
Thank you very
from
much.
the Freedom Skills Academy. Any final thoughts, Andy?
Talking about subscriptions, pop over to Freedom Skills Academy, join our newsletter. That is free, the Freedom Lifestyle newsletter. And then if you are interested in learning more, then we do have a VIP exclusive club subscription, which is at the moment only about $5 a month, I believe, or something like that. Something
Five
ridiculously
nine
low for me.
5.99 a month.
Yeah.
Absolute pure value. Okay, brilliant. Thanks very much. We'll see you on the next one.
Speak to you soon. Bye bye.